We're not wizards, or hey, maybe we are. Maybe Richard's lied to us all so far. But that's just the way, isn't it? So we carry on to another day. This song's not so great, I apologise. Still, it's better with two other guys. It's Richard Simpson and Tom, and that's carry on, and that's the show. Yay!
Yay!
Wow. I don't even know.
I'm sorry, everyone.
It's just, well, don't start with an apology, for goodness sake. You don't want.
I'm proud.
Don't put yourself in a niche. Don't categorise yourself. Because people might saying you're being a bit manic, a bit musical. They might even be saying you might be just getting a little bit categorical. Because this is Richard at We're Not Wizards. I am joined by the force of nature. If Mother Nature was dressed in red and liked to make card games about cats and cards and letters, then her name would be Bez, and she's here tonight. Hello, Bez.
Hello, Richard. Hello, everyone.
And joining us, we've got somebody special, somebody brand new, somebody nice and shiny that's never spoken to us before. He has no idea what he's getting himself into. However, he probably had no idea when he submitted the design to Bez for Wibbell++, all those many moons ago. I bring you the one, the only, the man of the hour, with his letters, 2 letters, not behind his name, but standing straight up and down. It's Mr. Tom Coldron.
Hello, Richard.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. That was quite an introduction.
And what I like about that is that there is actually a card in the ELL deck that is T and then C.
I know, I like that card. It's my favourite card. I always cheer whenever that one comes up.
So, let's get down to business. The reason that you're here is because there's a Kickstarter. And the Kickstarter is for Categorical, which is your kind of latest dive into it used to be Wibbell++, but am I right in saying that
Wibbell++ was kind of suggesting it's all about the Wibbell game, which is kind of true. That's where it started. So originally, so for those who don't know, early 2015, I was doing the final art for In a Bind, which has now become Yogi, which has sold very well. It's sold like a 6-digit number, and I'm doing well enough from that I'm like, okay, I can afford to not have to make the most money from other stuff. I'm not rich, but I can put in a little bit of my own money for Categorical. That allows me to put the funding goal down to 2,000. But then going back to that time, 2015, I was making the art, but I was like, oh my god, it's all too much just one thing. I was thinking of games, and then I thought of a game called Wibbell, and then I made the game, and it was really fun, and then I thought of other games that could be played with the same deck, and then I went to UK Games Expo 2015. Andrew Dennison made Alphabetical, and that's what persuaded me to make it into a game system. So it was called Wibbell++, and it has been called Wibbell++ for ages, but at this point, there's just so many other games, and Tom came along on the scene. 2018 was making all these games and was like, hey, here's a submission. And I worked with Tom in that Tom did the design, I did the development on this one game, and it's really good. I'm allowed to say that because I didn't come up with the idea. And actually, Denim Spur, who helped me demo a whole bunch of stuff, said that Categorical's now their favourite game for the deck. And so why do I keep calling the deck Wibbell++? Why do I keep naming it after one game that it's kind of like hamstringing it? So I reached out to everyone saying, hey, what should the name be? And hundreds of people entered, most of them through the Big Cock Board Game Trading and Chat UK Facebook group. Yeah. And someone suggested ELL, which, believe it or not, that simple name I had not thought about. So it's just called the ELL deck. And going forwards, every deck is going to be geared around one or maybe even 0 games. Like, maybe there's going to be a minimal deck at some point, just saying, oh yeah, go online and you'll get all the rules there. But this new one it's got typography which is fresh, it's graffiti inspired, it's all based on Tom's game, which Tom will tell you about, and it's all like really fun. It's awesome.
What I like about Tom is Tom strikes me as potentially the strong silent type. And I'm wondering if during the development process he just had to sit there and nod. And then
that was a big part of the development, yeah.
And then pass notes, kind of back and forward to kind of go, are you finished yet? Can I? Because I think beforehand, now Tom isn't aware of this, Bez has been on the show a number of occasions, and normally we're a couple of chatterboxes. We just sit there and we chat away about whatever comes to our minds, and sometimes we need to realise we need to have manners. We need to realise we've got guests, and we need to sometimes give those people so here I go ranting and raving away, and yet we've not come back to the fundamental thing, which is, Tom, tell us about your bad self. Let's hear. I want to kind of explore the double letter valleys of your mind. I want to.
Are you going to reach into the past and then go into the present before going into the future?
That's pretty much what we're going to do. No, I am interested in. I mean, Tom, have you been involved in the kind of the board game scene yourself for a while? Were you like a player who got involved? Have you designed before? I mean, you're coming to me like a fresh canvas, which I must paint a story on. So do you want to help me paint that picture by telling me your paint, I guess?
Telling you my paint. I shall try and tell you my paint. Yes. I am a person. I play games.
That's a good start.
Yeah, I mean, I just started playing games because of my partner. He started sort of buying all these games, and I sort of gradually came to realise that there were all these wonderful things out there in the world that I hadn't really realised. This is about 8 or 9 years ago, maybe longer, maybe 10, 12 years ago. And we started just getting more games, and then suddenly I realised that I had a collection of games, and I now had a hobby of being a game player. And I found a local games club and started exploring this wonderful, amazing world that was out there that I hadn't realised. And it just astounded me, the possibilities of this space. And when I sort of get into something, my brain starts working on its own, and it starts sort of coming up with things to do with games. And I ended up sort of just sitting on a bus one day, and I thought, here's a game idea. And suddenly I had a game idea that I tried to make, and it was utterly rubbish.
I think
that's always the way.
Yeah, and this is, I think this is possibly the origin story of a lot of game designers. The first game that they make, they suddenly realise that making games is actually quite difficult.
Yes.
Who'd have thought?
Weird. Yeah.
It's my entire philosophy over something, which is your first of anything is going to be awful. But if you don't start if you don't start making something, then you're never ever going to get to where you are today, which is to where, Bez is just now. So essentially what you're doing is you are standing on the shoulders of giants, really, Tom. And I'm just wondering how you can live with yourself.
What the?
Kind of, borrowing someone else's, let's face it, success, sweat, and hard labour. And, any guilt with that, or are you just quite happy just to go along for the ride?
Oh, I'm perfectly happy to let other people sweat, yes.
Is that actually a reference to the fact that Categorical is a game for the ELL deck?
It certainly made things
I was kind of slightly trying to link it all together, but thank you for ruining it.
I mean, people who are listening might not even know as much as you, Richard. I mean, you pass yourself as a very ignorant person.
I am.
You played a part, but you actually know some stuff. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Anyway, shall I flash forward a few years in my evolution as a game designer?
Please.
So I started making more games, and I got involved with Playtest UK, which I'm sure you're aware of. It's a wonderful community of people around the country who just create opportunities for people to come and playtest games. So I got involved with them, and I think possibly through that group I encountered Bears. I'm not sure.
So was
now.
there already a group when you... Because right now you're running the group, aren't you? So was there already a group when you started becoming a designer?
There wasn't one in my local area, but I approached Rob Harris at UK Games Expo and said, do you want to have someone running a group in Sheffield? Because I could do that. So, and he said, yeah, sure. So I've been running a Playtest UK group in Sheffield for a few years. And
did you have any anxiety about, running this group?
No, I just thought I'd turn up and other people turn up and we play games. It's easy. I thought it'd be like a sort of big responsibility, but no, it's just, sit there and play games every month. Great.
Are you quite analytical minded then, Tom? I mean, are you been a bit of a kind of like, do you like a bit of sitting back and analysing stuff and pad and pen and make notes?
Yeah.
And, is that why the kind of the play... Because I know some people that they hate playtesting. They know they have to do it, but they find it very difficult to get past just almost like sitting back and quarterbacking their game as it gets played. Whereas I know some people, like, they love the feedback. It's like any feedback. Or you think the card size is too small, excellent. You think the card size is too big. You think it's the wrong colour, fantastic. And they're away kind of taking notes. So, are you like that kind of person? Are you quite analytical yourself when it comes to stuff like that? Do you like facts and figures and all that kind of stuff?
I do a bit. I've been known to make a spreadsheet or two. I think playtesting is a skill, and part of it is analysis, and part of it is just sort of learning to watch people and see how they're responding to what you're putting in front of them. And yeah, I think the analytical bit can only go so far. Sometimes it's just you've got to sort of feel your way through.
Because impression is more than reality, really. If someone thinks that something's unfair, then it is unfair. It doesn't really matter if it's actually, you could have done this to get yourself out of that situation. It's all about how it feels. Yeah.
And an important thing I realised after a while of playtesting the group, the playtesting group, is that you can ask playtesters what their opinions are about how your game works, but you shouldn't necessarily listen to the answers because they don't know. They don't know the game as much as you. They're just saying the first thing that comes into their head, and which might be a fantastic suggestion which is going to make it brilliant. But it's much more important to show how they've reacted to the game and which bits have jumped out at them than actually what their ideas for the game are. I mean, you can listen to the ideas, but you don't have to say... it's really tempting initially to go, they think there should be more cards. Fantastic, I'll make more cards.
Yeah.
Oh, they think there should be more attacking. Great, I'll make it more attacking then. But doing everything that everyone throws at you, just on the first experience of a game, you're just going to end up with a mess.
Yeah.
You've got to keep your own vision for a game.
Do you find kind of leading a playtest group, you've got to provide a bit of emotional support as well? Do you have to be there for people kind of sitting there going, I know this isn't working, that is because the entire game and my existence is utter crap, and then they flip the table and they walk out? Do you sometimes find you need to de-escalate somebody maybe being overcritical of themselves and saying, well, actually, let's just look at this from kind of where you are and what you've been doing and scale it back a bit, or look at it from a different way? Do you find you kind of because of your experience, you're on occasion approaching things from like almost like a mentor point of view, that people kind of approach you like that?
I don't think I've managed to get to myself to mentor level yet, but I do try and sort of manage expectations. Like, come on, make a prototype. It doesn't matter if it's felt tip on card; it'll be rubbish. But make a prototype anyway.
Yeah,
I mean, this is what you've come up with, the make something awful thing. It's the same sort of thing that I'm trying to tell people. Yeah, come on, make something. Yeah, it'll be rubbish. Don't expect it to be brilliant.
Yeah.
I do like a thing I heard on the Ludology podcast. Gil Hoban talking to Jeff Engelstein about their design process, and these are sort of published designers who are well respected in the field, and they're still saying that they make a prototype and think this is going to be fantastic. And Gil Hoban said, "This is going to be the best thing ever. This is going to be the first game to win a Nobel Prize." And then you put it in front of a playtester, and then 30 seconds later, right, this is rubbish.
Yeah. I think on the other side is as well is, I think because there's so many games out there, it's very easy for people to slip into the comparison train, which is when you're kind of sitting there kind of going, oh, but it's too much similar to this, it's too similar to that, it's too similar to the next thing, and not actually going ahead with a design idea in case it's, in case they think people think, oh, it's just a copy of this. But, I've shown you a copy of, like, Splash, from Coiled Spring.
I don't know, I've not played it, so I don't know the rules. For all I know, that's a copy of Grabble. It could be. For
all you know, it is actually, you know what, when I first opened it up and read the rules, it sounded very much like Tinder blocks. Because you're stacking little blocks on top of each other, but you're not using cards, you're just using kind of like decisions based on colours and shapes.
That's where you've got parallel design. I mean, parallel design is a thing.
Yeah.
And, of course, people are going to come up with the same idea simultaneously. But, going to what you were saying about people being dejected about, oh, I made this game and it's not as fun as all the other games out there. I think that's actually not that bad a thing, because if you get that immediate dejection, you don't have the build-up of, oh my god, this is brilliant, I've played it with all my family, I've played it with all my friends who don't know any board games, they really like it, I played it with these other friends who have never played a board game in their life, and they really liked it, and they told me it was brilliant. Now I'm going to take it to Playtest UK, and then what happens, in our case, is like someone spent 2 years of their life working on a game, never actually showing it to any other designers.
Yeah.
They've not played any games from the last century, and then they come here with a game, and then I play it and I'm thinking, yeah, this is really, really rubbish. And Brett Gilbert, who isn't one to shy away from their opinion, comes in, and Brett is someone who will give their opinion without playing a game. And if you know Brett has, been nominated for, I think, the Kennerspiel des Jahres. Brett's done really, really well. And so if you know Brett, you'll listen to their opinion because they've got a lot of good things to say. And actually, Brett's really insightful, and they can see what's wrong with the game before even playing a single turn. Sometimes they'll be wrong, but 90% of the time they won't be. And then what happens is I say, yeah, this is a problem here, this is a problem here, and then Brett's like, yeah, this is a really big problem, but then we try to sort of satisfy him. We say, don't worry, it's like, you've got this one bit of the game that's really good on its own, just chuck away everything else, but this could be a good bit, and this other bit could be good on its own, so it's almost like you've got the two seeds of two different good games, not just one. But yet, that person, because they'd come after 2 years, and just had all this messages from their friends, from their family who'd not really been into games, and building them up to be told, hey, actually might not be able to make it, never saw them again. And that's kind of sad.
I think some people think they need to build up a game to a point where they can be in a peer-to-peer situation. I don't know, that's the same. A lot of people I know that, regardless of the hobby, if they were going to be involved in musical theatre, for instance, and they wanted to go to the local Amdram stuff, I don't think anybody's just going to go in without practicing a little bit of the songs from the show before they turn up at the rehearsal, because they don't want to go in completely blind. And it's the same with a lot of different hobbies. I think if you know you're going to a playtest event and you might not necessarily know the names of the designers and everything like that are going to be there, but I think you would still have that sense of intrepidation, and you just sitting around with friends and family and them naturally going to be slightly biased and telling you that everything is fantastic. I think that kind of happens because your friends and family are generally kind, which can sometimes be not the best thing. Not the best thing to kind of.
And you need to get over that fear. I mean, any prospective designer who's listening, frankly, if you've got to design, it's more kind to your friends and family to show them your game when it's actually half decent. And because designers will be quite used to playing rubbish stuff. And I don't mind playing a terrible game and sitting around for half an hour or an hour and a half, really dissecting, okay, what could be improved and giving feedback for free. And that's what it's all about. Whereas if it's about that peer review, I help you, you help me. Even if you're a newbie, you being at the table can be really helpful to me. And when it's friends and family, you're imposing that on them. They're not really getting anything from you other than the joy of being part of your thing, which if you brought them on at a later point, when it was actually shown to be good, then they would be able to enjoy it a bit more.
Jumping back into categorical, because I'm just, silly like that.
Oh yeah, that's what we had to talk about.
That's what we're here to talk about.
Oh yeah.
Because this is the thing, if you let her talk...
You're just as bad, Richard. You're just as bad.
I'm not just as bad. There's about 370 episodes of me talking an awful lot more and giving my opinion. It's almost like it's a show about me all the time. In terms of the kind of going into the categorical type of thing, what made you decide this is the one you're going to run with? Because I'm assuming, because when we spoke originally about Wibbell++, the idea was here's
now called the ELL deck.
Now called the ELL deck. It's like the artist formerly known as Wibbell++. It's now just got a little symbol on it. But I was aware that you had a catalogue, a library of games that were coming out.
Yeah. What
was the reason for doing categorical, and was that a chance for you to introduce the ELL deck at the same time? Did you discuss this fully with Tom before you went on the Kickstarter, or was it something that was agreed pretty kind of early on?
I like to, in terms of discussion with Tom, I think that's something that Tom needs to chip in as well with. I did definitely show Tom all the text before I showed it to anyone else. Tom's a member of the Wibbell++, or ELL, the Elegant Double Letter Deck Facebook group. So now if you search on Facebook for ELL, you will hopefully find that. So I just, honestly, I'm thinking about my stuff basically all the time. And in 2020, I said this last year, but I'm trying to work a little bit less, and some days, have an evening off, or sometimes even an entire day off, lo and behold. But I don't want to inundate Tom with every single thing that I'm thinking of. But during the process of Categorical, how do you feel the communication went? I think, when there was a major thing, I was like, hey Tom, here's a major change. Oh, what do you think of that? What do you think?
I think mainly it was you saying, here's this thing I want to do, and me saying, yeah, sounds good. So yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much the process. I think we should need to go back to 2018, 1st of August, which was the deadline for the first Wibbell.
Yeah, timey.
That was wibbly wobbly, timey wivey kinds of noises.
Yeah, it went better with the video. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so going back to 2018, 1st of August, Tom submitted this game, and in the rule sheet of Categorical, there's a whole bit that I got Tom to kind of talk about the process, which they can. But the question was, what made me decide that this is the one? Back then, I had about, I think, 17 submissions, and I played all of them. I enjoyed, to a certain extent, all of them. There were some that was yeah, actually, this is a bad game, but I enjoyed it because, let's be honest, it's flattery at someone making a game for my deck.
Yeah.
which is awesome. But there were a few. There were at least, I would say 3 or 4 that's, it's like, yeah, this is really good. This could be the 8th core game. And so what I wanted to do, getting back to that principle of the core games, is that, the first deck started off with 5 games, and honestly, part of it was that these are 5 games I'm really proud of, but also these are 5 games that are able to fit onto one card. And so that was a key principle, that Wibbell, Grabble, Fable, Phrasal, and Alphabetical, I could fit them all onto one card. Then the second edition couple, I was like, I need to make the 6th core game. What should it be? There's going to be a new core game every 1st of August, and that is my pledge that I've kept up. And I was going to make it like a 1-player game, and I thought, hey, wait a minute, I'm not going to make it puzzle. I'm going to make it couple, because Rado runs through. Rado's really enjoyed it. Yeah. I bet other people would also enjoy this. And then I made it Mickle, and then going through to the core game for 2019, which is 1 year after Tom submitted this game. Back in 2018, I was thinking, okay, of these games, which one will be the next core game? I played them all at Tabletop Scotland. I played them all myself first, on the thing. I didn't actually play them all at Tabletop Scotland. That bit was a lie. I played them all myself at Friday daytime playtests, and then I played the best ones at Tabletop Scotland. And while I was playing the best ones at Tabletop Scotland, sorry I messed up over there, I realised, Categorical is being enjoyed so much, this could be the next core game. And that's when I decided this is going to be the next core game. And then time went on, and people were enjoying it so much, I was like, it was when I decided that the deck has to be split off. I don't want you to buy one box like it currently is and have all the rules inside, because people don't appreciate how much the paper costs. It's, expensive, it's hard to advertise, it's like, what am I getting inside this box? Okay, you've written 6 different games in here I don't understand. And, it's kind of inaccessible, because you don't get the thing on the side telling you exactly the player count, you get confused, so just having one box, one game, which is exactly like every other board game out there, but with the added feature that when you go to the bottom of the rules, there's a second sheet that says, oh, by the way, yeah, you bought this for just one game, but you might enjoy Grabble, you might enjoy Wibbell, and if you do want to play these other games, then please go onto the website, which here's a little link or a QR code. If I can work out how to do QR codes. And let's go online. And I've actually got a friend, Chris, who might be actually helping me. And if they do start helping me, I should probably put them up on the campaign page as well. But it's like, I need to split off this deck to make it more accessible. Categorical is a blooming brilliant game, and I think it deserves to be the next one, because out of the 7th and 8th, because the first 6, they already kind of exist in a physical format. Mickle, it's 1 player. Categorical is just right, it's fun. I mean, have you played Categorical, Richard?
No. I don't play board games, I just talk to people. Tom?
Yes. Because
he's sitting there, he's probably going,
I'm sorry, Tom.
I could have been catching up on the telly. The latest episode of Picard's out. Let's see where that train wreck's going. 2 questions. The first question is, in your opinion, what is your favourite meal to eat when you're podcasting?
Yeah, sorry about that. It's sort of sweet potato chips and broccoli thing.
Oh, cool.
It's yeah, I recommend.
Is it cheese?
Any podcasters out there?
Is there cheese on it?
No cheese.
Garlic?
Might be a bit.
We're going to put the recipe in the show notes. Bez, shh. Tom's got to talk now. Tom, right?
But nothing crunchy. So.
Nothing. Because it's not Thursday.
Top tip for any podcasters: don't eat a crunchy meal while you're podcasting.
There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Crunchy chips are the big. Tell us about Categorical, Tom. Put us out of our misery, because if I let Bez speak again, you might as well go and have a bath, get some candles on,
Yeah.
get some panpipe music going.
Well, you know, all that I was saying earlier about the playtesting process and developing a game from beginnings to end and sort of really listening to playtesters, and that none of that came in developing Categorical. Basically, I mean, the story of the creation of the game was I saw that I knew that Bez had this competition running to create a game and submit it for her deck, and I'd messed about with a few games, and they were kind of some worked, some didn't. But then this time I just sort of lay out 5 cards in a row and said, right, why are the 5 cards in a row? Maybe it's a tug of war. Someone wants to get to that end. Someone wants to get to that end. Okay. How did they get to the other end? They've got to shout a word. One of these letters. Great. What word? Well, if it has to be in a category. Great. And that was pretty much it. It was just 5 minutes, and I had pretty much the whole game. And I really wish it worked like that in other games, because I've tried it. I mean, I sit down with some of my other designers and think, right, inspiration.
Yes.
No, it doesn't happen, so I've got to actually do hard work. Annoying. But yeah, this one was really easy. It just... I got a game, I tried it with Polly. It seemed to work pretty well. I tried it with someone else. Yeah, that was fun. I submitted it. And, that was the easiest design I've ever done.
I was expecting drama. I was expecting kind of
Do you want to talk about the development, Tom?
Sturm and Drang, blood, sweat and tears went into this thing. Now it's just easy.
I was expecting some kind of, and, I'm just really, really sad that during this time when I invented this word game, I never learned to read. That kind of
I was
Oscar.
mute until the day that I invented Categorical.
And I had to get up kind of every morning at 4:30 on my milk round to make sure we had enough money and also to get our own milk. And then as I was walking down the streets without my shoes on, I then realised, and something like that, because I just I found 2 letters that came up with it. I'd stuck 5 cards down in a row and wondered tug of war, and then let's shout out some names. That's that makes you sound extremely clever and know exactly what you were doing.
Yeah, design, it's easy. Just do that.
Design's easy.
Sometimes it works.
I think the best designs are the ones that, just come up like what Tom has done. When you compare other design. I mean, let's face it.
I do want to say there was some developments after there.
There was a bit, yeah. Bez has made it about 90% better than the actual game.
I don't believe that for a second. I think that, what's happened is we've got this beautiful working relationship going on, and I think that potentially Bez has met her match, and I think there's a little bit of fear in those eyes, in those red eyes. That she might have just met her design match, and that you're just sitting there going, you know what? Bring it on. That's what's going to happen. Let's talk. I mean, we skirted around the kind of the basics of the game, but it is basically you select a category, you lay out your cards in front of you, and then it's a case of you shout out like a country that's got that starts with one of the letters in each of the cards. If you win, you move a space towards yourself. If you lose, you move a space towards your opponent. It's whoever gets to the end of the line basically wins. Is that correct?
Yes.
No.
Well, whoever gets to the end of the line wins 1 point.
Yes.
You go back to the middle and keep on going until you get to the end of the deck. And that is actually the change that Bez made.
I think there's a couple of changes. One is what Tom just said, which originally, once you got to one side, that would be the end. And it could last literally 30 seconds if one person's a lot better than the other. It could last the entire deck. So theoretically, it could be done boom, boom, boom. 3 steps, I win. Or it could be a tense tug of war. And what we found was that the ones that went a bit longer and were a bit more of a generalist category, where you're starting to run out of words, those were actually more interesting. So I think that was the one big change that was made. And then the second big change that was made was, well, there were two others that were kind of intertwined. Firstly, when Tom originally submitted it, all the cards were face up in a row. And so you could see, oh, it's going to be here, the next card's going to be that one, so you could plan a little bit ahead, but it was a bit confusing. And to show which one you were at, there was like a little marker card, whereas now what happens is that there's only one face-up card, and so you know exactly where you are, but you don't get to see the other ones. And do you want to talk about that we changed, Tom?
No. Basically, Bez came back with, how about we do this? And I just went, oh, yeah, of course, yeah, do that. Yeah, so... the idea of the fully formed game springing from my head like Athena from Zeus's brow, then not entirely right. It still needed quite a lot of development.
I think you're just saving Bez's blushes from... I think that you've been the driving force. You went, look, I've got spreadsheets. None of the boxes. None of the boxes
really did not need a spreadsheet.
None of these.
Did not make a spreadsheet.
Oh, contraire, sir. I bet you said, right, Bez, I know you like red, so there's not one box on this spreadsheet that's got red in it. Kind of thing. What's it been like getting involved in the Kickstarter side of things, Tom? Are you a bit of a Kickstarter fan yourself? I mean, are you a backer? Or are you a backer who likes to back?
I have backed a few things. I try not to, but it sort of accidentally happens sometimes.
I accidentally confirmed this button 3 times in order to buzz the right level, yeah.
I mean, I find it really easy to avoid the big minis thing. Yes. Minis just don't do anything for me. Yeah. I don't know. I'm lucky like that. In recent years, I've mainly just backed things done by people I know, or people I've met. But as I've been meeting people in the Playtesting UK and other things around conventions, that actually turned out to be quite a lot of people.
Can get very expensive.
Yeah.
Well, I think you try to be kind, and then I think I suffer from this myself because I speak to so many people who run Kickstarters. If I went in kind of fully pledged on everybody that I spoke to, I would be selling lots and lots of stuff. So I think sometimes for the people that I know, it's sometimes better just to try and help create as much noise as possible, because if I can help spread the word, then sometimes that can be more valuable than me just saying, all right, well, I'll stick a low pledge on. I think I'll often stick a low pledge on something just to see how it's kind of going, which is always kind of fun. Do you, in terms of things like the marketing then, Tom, have you been involved in that? Have you kind of been out there kind of helping to spread the word and things like that? Or have you kind of went, it's not my wheelhouse, I'll kind of leave it?
It's not my wheelhouse.
Right.
My partner, Polly, has sort of taken over the role of my social media manager. She tries to tweet where I don't. So I like tweet like once every 6 months saying, oh, by the way, here's a game or something. But
this is true. I send tweets about Categorical or people playing Categorical, and I'm like, hey, look at this thing. People are having so much fun with this game last night. And genuinely, I was in the bar last night, and I don't know if you saw the pictures, Tom, but yeah, out of 13 people, basically everyone was playing it multiple times, which was brilliant to see. And it was just about Categorical and the other game of the week. And then, I don't know if Tom's ever seen it. Tom barely ever replies to my tweets or likes them or anything, but then Polly's always in there retweeting my stuff, saying, hey, well done, Tom, because Polly's really supportive like that of Tom.
She is, she's great. Yeah. I have done some marketing. I got some people at my local board games club to play it yesterday. And they said, oh, you designed a game? What? I've never mentioned it before.
Did I ever tell you of the time where I designed a game? And you're like, no, you didn't. Well, here it is. There you go. And you're like, what? Is it strange being on the other side? Because this is you in the kind of the commercial, kind of, you've done the playtesting thing. So as you said, there must be people that you've seen at the playtesting groups that have gone on to do like a, that you've seen them, that they've then turned up on Kickstarter themselves, that you've kind of worked in and went, oh, these are my children. I remember when they came to me and all they were was white card and felt tip pen, and now look at them. Tainted Grail, £1.3 million.
Yes. The most recent one we've had from the Sheffield playtest group was Tom Lovewell of Redwell Games.
He's lovely.
He is.
He is lovely.
Tom is wonderful.
And he was kickstarting Six Gun Showdown last year.
Yes.
And it just seemed like such a stress. I'm very glad that Bez is doing all the Kickstarter work. Well, nearly all the Kickstarter work. Yes, it's great. I'm loving being on this side of the Kickstarter divide while not actually having to do all the work, which is perfect.
Well, I think it's just correct that you should be now sitting back after having previously done all of the work for the rest of the game. It's about time that Bez really she kind of pitched up and contributed and not just provided.
For goodness sake!
I'm only joking. That's not true at all. You see,
but you say it's enough. People think it's true.
No, it's not. I know that you work. You're like one of the hardest working designer developer people that I know, and you're always hitting the kind of the. It's going to sound sycophantic. You're always hitting like all the shows. You're always very, very supportive for people. You're seeing how you can add value to the community, and it's a very, very wonderful thing that I think is very, very much required as the hobby itself starts to head into sometimes the very cold commercial areas. That you can look at something like a lot of the Kickstarters that are there that are running like very, very well-oiled corporate machines with, and then you get someone like yourself jumping in with your campaigns, and, there's a huge amount of heart that comes across in everything from the updates. It's very personal, it's very, very human, and for a lot of people it's for people like yourself, that's one of the reasons that Kickstarter kind of got going in the first place, and I'm still very, very delighted that you are still very much present on that platform, that you're fighting the good fight, because I know of a lot of other designer developers who are struggling on that platform as it becomes more of the corporate playground as opposed to maybe what it was kind of intended for. Of course,
I don't want to stop you, but I want to make 2 points. And I just, before you move on from the subject, because I know the way you are, you'll kind of weave around and then go off on something else. But firstly, 2 points. Yes. 1 point, no, I'm not correcting you. Everything you said, I 100% agree with you, and thank you so much. It's a real honour to be kind of thought of that way, and it means so much when people are saying, oh yeah, Bez is working really hard, or Bez makes good games, and it means a lot. And of course, with the ELL deck, actually there's 3 things. Firstly, my vision was always to say this is more than just me. Alphabetical by Andrew Dennison was in the first 5 core games. That was very deliberate to show these are not just by me. Andrew Dennison's Alphabetical is a really good game. I believe it's brilliant. But it was that one that made me realise, hey, that was an idea I personally would never have had. So there's going to be other ideas that other people will have that I will never have had. And like that, Tom came along with a categories-based game. There was one other categories-based game done in that same year, 2018. It turned out to not be quite as good as Categorical. If Categorical had not existed, that might have been the 8th game. That's one thing. I want to talk about how it is the community at this point. My role is, yes, I'm continuing to make more ELL games. I mean, I've made a couple this year so far, and we're only into February. And but at the same time, I feel like my role is, as much as I can, I want to shift into becoming the curator. I've got someone else working on art for a future version of the ELL deck where I'm going to pay them on commission. I've got, and, you know, an upfront fee, kind of like I would accept myself. Something I think, okay, I know what I would accept as a designer. I know what I would accept. Basically, that gives me a framework for if it's reasonable for me, hopefully it's reasonable for other people. The second thing I want to talk about is, let's be real, you do need the cold calculating paychecks to have professional designers. Yeah. For example, the fact that I sold In a Bind, the fact that In a Bind is now Yogi, it's sold in a tin, it's waterproof cards, and it sold hundreds of thousands of copies. And it's in 19 languages and counting. I mean, that really boggles my mind. And when I think about the fact that probably, even if all of those copies, like only like 5 people played them, like there's more than 1 million people have played my game, and that's incredible. But also, not only is it emotionally satisfying, but frankly, the whole reason I sold that was for the money. I mean, that is what it was all about. It was like, okay, I could carry on doing this, or I could sell it to someone else and do a little bit less work, but hopefully they get more money. Now, the truth is that the ELL deck, I am not a big multinational company. Clearly, I am one person. I don't yet have the connections to other people to market stuff. I don't have a marketing budget. Honestly, I spent about... I would estimate 10 quid to market this whole thing. And the rest of, by that, I basically mean the review copies that I gave to people, and people enjoyed it. And so that's great. And so, but I've not done Facebook advertising. I could have done so much. If I could do so much that I'm like, okay, if I did this, it would definitely be better if I got to graphic designer, if I did all my art ahead of time, if I was like, okay, here's the prototype, you can see exactly what you're buying, and I'm going to send it to you in 2 months' time after the Kickstarter. That is possible, but I don't have the resources for that. And so the truth of the matter comes down to, yes, Tom is getting a decent percentage. I don't want to talk about our things, but Tom, it's not going to be enough to suddenly make Tom a full-time designer, if you know what I mean. And that's the reality of the situation. Now, I would love to think that within the next 5 years, I'm going to carry on growing the company, and by which I mean maybe I'll be able to hire someone at some point and, you know, to help me with the graphic design, to do some marketing for me, to do some logistics. Maybe I'll be able to get into actual distribution outside of the UK somewhere and, you know, do those kinds of things. And maybe one day the ELL deck will be selling tens of thousands of copies. Maybe Categorical will be selling tens of thousands of copies and the ELL deck as a whole even more. I don't know. And that would be the brilliant, but you've got to be honest with yourself sometimes. I mean, yes, you're allowed to do things for money, but you're also allowed to do things for fun. And yes, you still deserve a bit of money, and I'm not going to cheat Tom out of anything that's due, but it's like, do you know what I mean? There's like different reasons to do things.
It's always about the money. Tom?
Yes. Hello.
When we're talking about the money, again, how much is it to get yourself a copy of Categorical on Kickstarter?
That's a good question. I should probably know that, shouldn't I?
What are the pledge levels on Categorical?
If you pledge £14 or more,
yes,
you get one Categorical deck. But there is a lovely pledge pledge level that Bez has decided to put in, which is you can pledge £5 and get a copy of Categorical given to somebody else. So you get nothing, but apart from the satisfaction of it being given to a local school or library or other public organisation soonish after printing, which is really nice.
That's just so Bez, isn't it?
It is Bez. It is very Bez.
It's so
yes.
very, very on Bez brand.
I know.
That's absolutely rubbish. I know. Anyway, for people who have listened along tonight, and they've went, that Tom's a bit alright. And they want to know, they want to know where you exist on the internet webs with your broccoli and your sweet potato. Where can they find you?
Well, as far as I know, I am the only Tom Coldron in the world. So if you look
cool.
for... there was a Thomas Coldron who made the ironwork for Brant Bruton Church in Lincolnshire in 1780 or something. But apart from that, I am the only Tom Coldron on Twitter or Facebook.
And presumably Twitter didn't exist back in the 1700s.
I don't think so, no. So yeah, I got in before them, the ironwork maker of Brant Bruton.
No, they just had right-wing politics in that day. They didn't bother trying to having people explain it further. Bez, I know we've asked this all the time, but where do you exist on the interweb nets?
Well, if you take an S to the T to the U to the F to the F, that spells stuff. And then if you take a B and then a Y, that spells buy. It's not B-U-Y, it's buy, as in stuff by Bez. And my name is Bez, spelt B-E-Z. And you can look that up on the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and stuffbybez@gmail.com. And stuffbybez.com is a website as well.
I think, is your shop stuff by with B-U-Y, Bez, then? Because
No.
if it's not, then you've done messed up. I'm just going to say.
That would have been clever. Yeah.
That would have been a clever opportunity, but there you go. I will, of course, make sure that we also put the fantastic link to the Kickstarter in the show notes as well. I can only thank you two very, very much for coming on. This has been... I've had a lot of fun because I got to talk, and I had a lot of fun because I got to listen as well. As they would say. So
one last thing before you do your
one last thing, because it's always
like
I
Columbo.
should know this. One last thing. What are you going to say?
Go to stuffbybez.com/Kickstarter.
Yes.
And it will take you to the Categorical Kickstarter. I've not done it right yet, but I will do it tonight. So it will be done by the time this episode goes live.
You hope.
I will.
Okay.
I will. Are you refuting my ability to set up a reader?
Okay, I'm a fish. If you want to keep an eye on what we're up to, go to the internet webs and search for We're Not Wizards, and you'll find us in all the different places where people hang out under bridges and stuff and don't. And like our blog and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and everything like that. If you like what you've listened to tonight, tell somebody else, because we're spreading. I don't want to say anything more. If you really like what you've heard tonight, then we've been going 4 years. So jump onto Apple Podcasts, give us a rating or a review. It's 4 years, so we're worth at least 4 stars, we think, by this time. But there's only 2 more things to do.
I'm just amused that you don't do your joke anymore.
Well, I can do my joke, but it's 2020, so you got to switch things up a bit.
Do you? Do you really have to switch things up?
No, you don't really have to switch things up.
I mean, yeah.
You remember, right? Okay, if you do like what you've listened to, and you're going to give us an Apple rating or review, don't give us 10 stars, because it makes us big-headed. But don't give us 1 star, because it makes us cry. Give us something in the middle, like a 5, because it's average, and we're just a little bit average. But the person who's not been average tonight is rather wonderful. They're rather fantastic. Tom Coldron. Yeah, Tom, yeah. And she's so nice. She named her stuff twice. It's Bez. Say goodbye, Bez.
Goodbye, Bez.
And it's a goodbye from me. Remember, stay safe, roll 6s, make something awful. But until the next time, get yourself some categorical. Goodbye.
A wizard is never late. nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.